Sean, welcome.
Hi, Jesse. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. You are episode 33, and you are the first guest on this podcast that wasn't part of my group in Costa Rica. So,
Oh,
congratulations.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much for having me.
I'm really excited to hear your story. I'm going to be taking some notes mentally as you kind of tell your experience, just to kind of think about what maybe has changed or what has stayed the same. Um,
Sure.
why don't you begin by telling us about your journey before Rythmia and what brought you there?
So I've actually, my mom, who lives in Florida, has talked to me about ayahuasca in the past. It's something that I was starting to become a little bit more familiar with, watching some videos, some YouTube stuff here and there. I had talked to my good friend Tim, he's like my brother, um, who was actually in your group, Tim Lundy and Teresa Lundy. That's how we got connected. He's the one that recommended I go there. Through his experience at Rhythmia, which was so empowering and magical for him, he called me, I think it was as soon as they got back. And he and Teresa had been having a discussion at breakfast at Rhythmia, I think after night one of ayahuasca. And they were discussing like who they thought would want to go or who would benefit from this. And my name was virtually the first name that popped up for both of them. And they were like, he would really get a lot out of this. So when I spoke to Tim about his experience at Rhythmia, I then called my mom, same day, maybe the next day, and talked to her about it and was like, I'm pretty sure this is the place I want to go to do this. I know there are some other places you've talked to me about that are probably less expensive, but this one sounds really well ran, medical staff, uh, classes, regimented, very, I feel like you're going to be very well looked after while you're there. Um, Tim told me in his experience, one of the nights in the medicine, he was speaking to Jesus, and they were talking about me and some other friends of his and family members about who would benefit. And Tim told Jesus, he's like, I'm just concerned of the cost. This is expensive. It's not a cheap thing to do. I don't know how they're going to get here. And Jesus told him, don't worry about that. I got that part. You just tell them about it. I'll get them here. And Tim hadn't told me that story yet. He just told me what a wonderful time he had there and how impactful it was for him. And I immediately, spoke to my mom and was like, how am I going to do this? She mentioned that she had just gotten a zero interest credit card offer from a credit card she had been holding a zero balance for years. And I said, well, rather than loan me money and rather than me just come straight out of my savings to do this, will you put me on your account, which would give me 18 months to pay this off at zero interest? I promise I will do it. No, no, no risk to you. And she immediately agreed, gave me the phone or the credit card number over the phone. I went online and booked my trip. Um, I booked, I thought I was going to book a little bit sooner than I went. And then when I was looking at the larger room, the queen size room, instead of the three twins, that was pushing me back into August.
Okay.
I still wouldn't have been able to go at this point.
Yep.
And then I finally went, well, what about the cheaper room? What about the twin room? And she was like, well, you can come June 29th.
Okay.
That was only like 5 weeks, 5 weeks out, 6 weeks out.
Right.
And so I jumped on that. And as they tell you when you go there, and as you know, uh, as soon as you book, the medicine starts working. So I started having restless nights, sleeping, leading up to going there, very vivid dreams. I kind of thought that that was due to them telling us that we have to come off of all medications. I'm not on any antidepressants or anything like that. I did attend Rhythmia with several people that had been for years, and none of them are on medication any longer after Rhythmia, which I think is just a miracle in itself. I myself smoked weed pretty much daily. I self-medicated for what I was self-diagnosed ADHD. It kept me normal. It kept me sane. It kept me from getting upset, in society and becoming frustrated or angry. And so I would smoke weed almost every day. And they told me that I have to stop. 30 days out. No coffee, no mushroom supplements, no ashwagandha, nothing that has any sort of brain interaction or like mood stimulant. And so I was pretty successful in that. I think I made it 3 weeks, not quite 4 weeks, without smoking weed, and maybe once or twice, in that 3 weeks, with a family member or something that was smoking, I took a couple of hits, off of a joint or whatever. But for the most part, I did really well in stopping.
Yeah.
Um,
W-
I
w-
got to Rhythmia, and the first person I met walking around the resort, his name is also Sean.
Okay.
He has been there, that I believe was his fourth or fifth trip to Rhythmia.
Yeah.
And as we're talking in the first 2 minutes, he's like, "Oh yeah, so what cabin are you in? What room are you in?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm in 42." And he's like, "No kidding, I'm in 42. We're roommates." So like I met my roommate. His name is also Sean. First person I ran into on the resort, which I thought was just a neat coincidence. Um, there were only 20, I think 29 people total in our group.
Pretty small.
There was 18 women and 11 men.
Okay.
So very female dominant.
Yeah.
As it turns out, a lot of us shared similar experiences, similar traumas in life. A lot of us had lost loved ones pretty recently. I myself, my dad passed in February of 24. And then my girlfriend, who I had sort of separated from, she was in Colorado, I was in Missouri. I moved to Missouri to help take care of my dad as his health was failing. She was in Colorado taking care of her mother similarly because her health was failing. We still very much loved each other. Still, every time I went to Colorado, I would see her. It was very heart wrenching to see her and then have to leave again. I spoke to her 2 nights before she passed away suddenly, 1 month and a day after my dad did.
Oh my gosh.
So last year was pretty rough. I lost my dad, I lost my girlfriend, and I lost two more aunts, one on each side of the family, my mom's sister and my dad's sister, before the end of the year. So last year was full of grief for me, some regret in that I didn't spend enough time with these people, things like that. All of that cured at Rythmia. It was in yoga on day 3, I believe. Um, on night 2, I received multiple miracles. By the end of night 2, I had been shown who I'd become. I had merged back with my soul, and I felt like my heart had been healed. And then morning 3 in yoga, we were laying down on our mats doing some breath work towards the end of class, probably the last third of class, um, and tears are just streaming down my face. I'm just crying silently on my mat, with my eyes closed, looking up at the ceiling of the Maloka. And I felt a presence kind of around me, and I opened my eyes, and it was the yoga instructor. And I apologize, I don't remember his name. Bless him. I'm so grateful for him. He came over and sort of like whispered like directly to me, and like said a blessing and put his hand on my heart, and then just kind of made one of these like pulling gestures. And I literally felt like the grief and sadness like pull out of my heart. And I started crying like tears of joy, and was just like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, it worked. Like part of why I went there was to help deal with my grief. And it 100% worked. Now I can talk about my dad very proudly. I can talk about Haley very proudly, with a heart full of gratitude that I knew these people and I spent time with these people, and my life was blessed by having them in it. And I let go of all regret that I should have done more or should have been there more, or that something wasn't said between us. 100%, like just free of those negative or scary feelings, if you will.
Right.
Um, it was night 1, sitting in the bathroom, purging, as we do a lot of.
Yep.
And I will tell you, I only vomited. I only threw up one time. So it
And that
seems
was night
the
one.
majority of my healing was physical and not spiritual.
Okay.
The one time I did throw up, I did purge orally, was was night two.
Oh,
I
okay.
was having tons of breakthroughs.
Yep.
But yeah, night one, I was sitting in the bathroom and I was reading, the questions that they have on the wall. How does that make you feel? Have you felt this way other times in life? When was the first time you remember feeling this way?
Yeah.
Who have I become? And I laughed out loud in the bathroom because reading this wall and purging, I realized I've become full of shit. That's who I'd become. This man that thinks I know how things should go. I think I know what the outcome of a task should look like, or how someone should perform that task,
Right.
or what good communication in a relationship looks like. Or I thought I knew stuff. And maybe I do. Maybe I am right in a lot of these situations. But who am I to tell other people that their version isn't also right for them? And I've been going around for years trying to educate people and teach people things that maybe it's not my place to teach, just maybe. And
Yep.
who did that make me become? Full of shit.
Right.
Because that's all I did was purge out the back door, like all night, every night kind of thing. Like a
Holy
lot of
shit.
physical
Yeah.
healing.
Right. Right.
Um,
That's a good connection. Can you
yeah,
going back to the beginning of your story, and we'll kind of work through what you've talked about so far.
sure.
When you said your mother had told you about ayahuasca, how long ago was that?
Oh, with like months. We'd maybe been talking about it for like 6 months.
Okay. And she
Um,
introduced you to it initially.
Well, we had shared a conversation
Okay.
about it. Like
Yeah.
she's very spiritual, I'm very spiritual. She's asking me, have I read these books that she sent me? And
Yeah.
and honestly, no, I had not read them at that point. I'd read parts of some of them, but not I hadn't read what she was intending.
Right.
And she was like, well, what do you know about ayahuasca? And I was like, oh, I know a little bit. I've watched Joe Rogan videos. I've watched videos of him interviewing like Mike Tyson.
Yep.
I've heard of other people doing it. At that point, Tim had not gone to do it yet. This was last fall that my mom and I were talking about it. So I guess we're getting close to a year ago. But I went in June. Tim went in March. So yeah, none. I didn't know anybody personally that had gone yet. I just watched interviews of other people and heard how profound their experiences was,
Yeah.
or were, I guess. And to see somebody who I grew up watching, like Mike Tyson, this tough, sort of angry, pit bull type individual, doesn't take crap from anybody, just very violent. He's
Yeah.
he's violent.
Right.
Um, to see him interview and break down into tears and just admit that I'm nothing. I'm a speck of dust in the universe. I think he said he blew apart into like a billion pieces and then blasted to outer space and saw each individual piece and was aware of all of them. And then they like zapped back together and zoomed him back down to earth. And he realized that, in the big picture of everything on earth, he's insignificant. He's nobody.
Right.
He's just a human like the rest of us, trying to do the best he can. And it really humbled him. And to see somebody with that much, energy and aggression be completely humbled, was really powerful. And so that I think watching people like that kind of sparked the conversation. And then my mom told me that she had found some shaman who would come up from Colombia, the country, and do ayahuasca experiences a few times a year in South Florida, is what
Ah,
she
okay.
was looking at. And so
Yeah.
I talked about going down there to do it with her. And then when Tim went to Rythmia and told me all about it, that was all the convincing I needed.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't need to come to Florida. I understand it's like half the price, but you're only there for, I think, 3 nights. It's an intro night. You do medicine one night, and then you go home. Like
Yeah.
they talk about it and you go home.
I think what really sets Rythmia apart, and I haven't looked into other resorts, and maybe some of them do it, but it's the overall diet. You do the juice cleanse every single day. You do the Dead
Yep.
Sea cleanse, which is colonic. You get that
Yep.
massage. You have an area where you can go in a steam room and then a cold plunge. And then, as you had mentioned, all the different classes throughout the day, it really keeps you engaged and keeps you focused on why you're there.
Yeah.
And it's not an aggressive rehabilitation, but it's like a boot camp in a way.
It kind of is like
Yeah.
they teach you how to train your body to do these healthy habits, and
Yes.
it really kind of helps you set the groundwork for setting healthy habits in life.
And you leave after 7 days feeling guilty about putting any kind of bad shit in your body. It's just,
100%,
it's really wild. do,
100%.
do you remember the when you first felt like you were hooked on marijuana where you had to smoke it every single day? I know some people say it's not an addictive drug. I
I was a
think
teenager.
you were a teenager. Do you?
Yep.
So the reason why I ask you this is I come from a similar past in a way. I started when I was younger, like when I was 18 years old, I was finding K2 at tobacco shops.
Uh-huh.
And I was smoking a lot of that at the time. And then it grew to weed. And then, in my early 20s, it ended up being harder drugs, right?
Yep.
But I still remember the moment, and this was before Rythmia. And actually, what's kind of funny about the journey starts when you first start thinking about it is for a while I had been thinking about the first time that I had maybe been alone in my room with the drug itself, not with
Yeah.
friends, because all times before of trying something for the first time had been social. And
Sure.
opening that drawer and looking at it and thinking to myself, oh, I'll just have a good time by myself. And then it
Yeah.
grows into this daily habit. All of a sudden you wake up in the morning like, okay, I need a little bit of a buzz. And then you
Yeah.
continue. You were talking about your ego, the ego death that you're kind of suffering. I know you didn't use that exact terminology, but that's the way I see it, where you tell yourself throughout the day, like, oh, I can drive high. I can
Yeah.
go to work high. I'm functional. I'm
I got my
fine.
driver's license high. I took the driving
Yeah.
test high. Like no lie. I mean,
yeah,
by
no, I mean,
16, by 16 years old, I was smoking pretty much every day, but it
yeah,
was socially. Like I wasn't doing it by myself.
sure.
Sometimes we would get high, like on the way to school. Sometimes it wouldn't be till lunch or after school, but it was this group of friends,
Hmm.
and it was a vast group of friends. It would be three or four of us at a time, but the total group that we would hang out with was, 20, 30 different people, and it'd just be different groups of 3 to 5 people at a time in a car. And we were getting high every day after school, every day.
Yeah. And how many years would you say that you were smoking weed on a daily basis?
Almost daily for 30 years.
And you left Rythmia. You quit for you had a couple slips pre Rythmia 3 weeks prior, but overall you pretty much took the monkey off your back. And then
100%.
you went to
And I won't tell you that I won't smoke it anymore at all.
yeah, no,
Because I even had like a counseling session with one of the people there,
yeah,
and was like, I don't, I know I was addicted because it was hard to quit.
yeah,
I thought about it every day that I wasn't doing it. I thought about it and that I wanted to do it.
yeah.
In the first week, I noticed myself getting irritated
Hmm.
throughout the day, just like irritable, and things would bother me. And then as the days went on, I didn't even notice. I would find things to keep myself busy, to stay engaged in something, and didn't even need it. And now the feeling that I need it is 100% gone.
Yeah.
It's just occasionally I'll, like, at the end of the night, I'll put on a movie, and I'll tell you my taste in movies has completely changed.
Yes.
I choose to watch things that are funny and lighthearted, and not things that are scary or violent anymore.
Yeah.
And I liked the first John Wick, the second John Wick, but like I haven't seen the last ones, and I don't have any desire to, because it's just violence and negativity kind of. And nothing against the movies. They're great movies. It's
But
just
it's
I'm
an
choosing
energy.
a different thing to put into my psyche.
Yeah. And
Yeah, like I
before you go to
watched
sleep
Happy
too.
Gilmore 2 the other night because I noticed it came out on Netflix.
Yeah.
I loaded a bowl and took a hit or two,
Hmm.
but I didn't feel like I needed to do it to get through anything.
Yeah.
It was more of a, and I thanked Mary Jane. I thanked her
Yeah.
for the experiences and for expanding my consciousness, and I look at it in a whole different light now.
Yes.
Um, it's not that I've 100% quit. I can't say that this is a bad thing. It's a hard drug and I will never do it. Um, I did cocaine in my early 20s. Never do that again. Haven't done that in probably 20 years. Um,
That's a hard one to break.
it's a very hard one to break. I had friends that I saw like really messing up their lives, and I was doing it with them basically for free. And just, I saw myself going down a dark path. I could see myself getting ready to start blowing money, irresponsibly.
Yeah.
And bad news. My dad actually came over to my apartment one day. I hadn't spoken to him in several days, and he came over to sort of surprise me and just check up on me. And he walked in my apartment, and like I had all the blinds shut. It was very dark. I was watching Scarface on the big screen TV. Um, and he just took one look at me and he goes, "When was the last time you ate?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Like I had dinner, I had dinner last night, probably mac and cheese or potato, like mashed potatoes or baked potatoes, like nothing super healthy, nothing substantial." And he was just like, "Well, you look like shit. Um, so whatever you're doing, whatever you're putting up your nose, like fucking knock it off." This was on a Wednesday. And he was like, "You're coming to the house on Friday for dinner and you better not look like this. Leave it to dad to scare you straight," kind of thing. Cause
Yeah.
that was it. Didn't touch it. Showed up for dinner, Friday night, was sober, clean, showered, like all the things, not looking like a junkie anymore. And that was pretty much an eye-opening experience. At that point in my life,
Yeah.
I stopped hanging out with those dudes, told them they weren't welcome in my apartment anymore. Um, yeah,
When
just
when you were at Rythmia, did you kind of go through the situation of the first time that you ever experimented with any kind of drug, or did you get taken to a place of where you were mentally at that time of chasing that high? Do you ever have that moment?
no, not really. I think by the time I got there, I had realized I don't need weed for anything. I
Mm-hmm.
don't need it to control my aggression or irritability. I don't need it to sleep. I was finding I was able to sleep once I got, nice and clean, and would get up and do something productive in the morning, do some
Yeah.
physical exercise. I was going to the gym a lot. I joined like two or three different gyms
Sure.
around Springfield where I'm living currently. Was doing a lot of dry and steam saunas. And then I've been seeking out cold plunges. Can't really find a cold plunge around Springfield. There's one boutique shop that's all they do. It's like cryotherapy and a cold plunge. And I just chose not to join because of the pricing. I didn't feel that the price they were asking for a monthly subscription is worth, even if you go there every single day, you're only in that cold plunge 90 seconds to 3 minutes, maybe 180 seconds. Like
Right.
you're not in it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hundreds of dollars a month for 3 minutes a day. I don't see that that's worth it. We're on a well out here where I live. I can jump in the shower and turn the water to just barely on, and it's pretty stinking cold. So I just started taking cold showers
Sure.
every day.
Yeah.
Would go to the gym and do a sauna at the end of my workout, and then just jump in the cold shower for like 5 minutes. Um,
Putting your body
like I
through
was saying, I
those
only threw
extreme
up the
things
one
is helpful.
time, so I feel like I was really on a good track to heal spiritually. It was physically that I had a lot of ailments that needed to be healed.
Yeah. So you're finding personally that the reason that you like to smoke weed is more so for physical ailments rather than mental.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I was a Muay Thai fighter, competitive. I used to fight competitively in Muay Thai
I
in my
see.
late teens, early 20s. And anyone who's done any sort of MMA or kickboxing will tell you, like, you are beating the absolute crap out of yourself on a daily basis to make yourself strong, make your body tough.
Right.
It's a mental thing, mind over body, but also you're doing physical damage. And so the weed really helped to alleviate pain at that
Yeah.
point in life.
Right.
And from there, I kept doing it. It helps me sleep. I was able to get high and then be able to go to sleep no problem. When I was younger and first starting with weed, it was like I couldn't smoke weed and not fall asleep. It would be like I would smoke and an hour later I'd be passed out. Like if I was laying on the floor, sitting on a couch, it didn't matter. I would just get tired.
Just knock you out.
Um, If I was driving and I got high, I would start getting sleepy like behind the wheel. And so I had to like make sure that I wasn't doing that
Yeah,
because
that's
that's just
scary.
very dangerous.
Very. Yes. So let's kind of get into your trip. Um,
Sure.
so you get there and you meet your roommate who happens to be the first person you run into. Which, by the way, same here. First person
Really?
I ran into was my roommate. Yeah,
That's cool. And it's
and
totally random. Like,
ironically, the first person I met at the airport to drive to the resort with had the
uh,
same name as me.
that's cool.
So
Yeah.
it's
So kind of similar experiences here. It's
there's a lot of really weird connections, definitely,
yeah,
and it's just funny to hear you say these things because it seems very consistent, also.
yeah,
And I think as you tell the story of night one through night four, I think we're going to find a lot of consistencies. So let's get into right after you get there and you kind of get introduced to your roommate. You, by the way, you did a 3 bedroom twin bed room, right, with two other
I did.
strangers.
Yep.
Same here.
Nice.
And I was telling myself I can get the nicer one, but then I'll be alone. Do I make myself uncomfortable in room with two strangers? I don't know how they're going to sleep, which, by the way, you don't even sleep when you're there because you're
You
awake
don't.
the whole time.
Yeah.
I had all these uh all these concerns going into it, and it turned out to be the best decision I ever made in my life, and I was so happy I did it that way.
Totally
When I
agree.
when I go again, same thing. I'm doing it with two other people in the same room. Don't care.
Yep.
We're going for
Same.
it. All right. So you get there and you meet your roommate, start to get introduced. You probably are going through, I think it's on that Monday, you're going through a lot of the classes before. It's like the
Yes.
build up to the first night.
Yeah.
You talk about that day going into that night, how you felt going into it, maybe some expectations you had.
Yeah. So going into it, going to the first classes, in the introduction class on Sunday, or Monday morning. I guess it was Monday morning. I got there Sunday afternoon. Um, you get a little bit nervous, you know. I was excited. I was a little anxious, but also maybe a little bit nervous. And I've recognized through other spiritual work previously that fear, when looked at scientifically, is essentially the same chemical reaction occurring in your body as like excitement or maybe even love. It's how you perceive the sensations that has you feel afraid or excited. And so knowing that, I was feeling these things, and I'm like, okay, I'm excited to do this. I'm looking forward to this. I have no idea what to expect, um, other than what my friends have told me that they went through. And so I'm like, okay. The one thing that kept reiterating in my mind was when you go into night one, ask for more medicine. That was one thing I've been told by a couple of different people. Make sure you take enough medicine. Like, don't go light, go hard. When they ask for more, go get more. Every time. If you crawl up there, but go take the medicine. And so in the opening of the first night ceremony, the shaman was speaking to everybody, giving us the intro. And at the end, she asked, "Does anybody have any questions?" And I raised my hand, and was like, "Is three all you get?" Because she had said we're going to call first cup, second cup, third cup. That's it. And I'm like, "Is 3 cups all you get?" Because I've been told by people that it might take more. And she was like, it's the intro night. We try to gently ease you into the medicine. So yes, 3 cups is all we're going to call for. If after 3 cups you're not feeling anything, or you're not getting anything out of it, come talk to us. We'll assess that situation and we might give you more. But just trust the medicine, trust the process is what we're asking. And I'm like, no problem. I trust him. So I trust the medicine. I trust you guys. You're professionals. You do this all the time. I'm ready. Let's go. It turns out on any of the nights, I didn't need more than 3 cups on any of them. And on a few of the nights, I was only given two, maybe 2.5. Like my third cup was very small, and it was based off of their assessment of where I was at in the healing and in the medicine. because they
For
do ask you very poignant questions to know where you are, which I
for
thought was,
anyone listening, by the way, a cup is essentially a shot glass.
yeah, a shot glass.
Yeah.
I have mine still.
Still have
I've
it.
got
Okay.
all my stuff.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mine's
I
stored
love
away
it.
as well.
Might even still have a little bit of residue in the bottom.
Okay. Yeah. You got to
But,
take it with you.
whatever.
That's
I
okay.
did also bring home the tincture. I bought the tincture, so I've got,
Yeah.
you know, ayahuasca that you can take home and do in small doses at night to go deeper in your dreams.
I forgot I had that.
And it works. I swear to God, it works. It's awesome. I said my prayers before bed one night, maybe like 2 weeks ago, not even.
God.
I did my sprays under the tongue and I
Yeah.
prayed and I asked Mama, take me back in the medicine, take me deeper. I want to see some shit.
Yeah.
And that night I had some of the craziest dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So it works. It 100% works.
Yeah.
It stays with you. It keeps working even after you leave. You just have to be one with spirit and talk to her. Let her know what you want. She will grant it, um, for sure. But yeah, so night one, I asked the question. We're told 3. That's it. No problem. Go back to my bed. Noble silence. Was very impressed with everybody's ability to stay quiet when they asked for noble silence. I was very surprised that all these people in the room could stay that quiet. It was pretty magical. But yeah, night one, I'm purging in the bathroom for like the 4th time, and I read the wall, and I realize who I've become, and it hits me, and I start laughing, and so I'm just in a good mood. I'm lighthearted. I'm like, okay, well now I see this. Now we're making progress. Let's merge me back with my soul. At one point, I'm laying on the mattress. I don't think I had my sleep mask on. I think I was just laying there with my eyes closed,
Mm-hmm.
occasionally opening them and watching the shadows from the candle flame that's on the center altar, just kind of flicker off of the ceiling, and just taking in like the sacred geometry of everything, and just enjoying. Well, I mean, I guess enjoying isn't the right word, because there's a lot of suffering going on. There's a lot of people throwing up, a lot of people getting sick.
I think
It
it's
sounds
okay for you to say that you were enjoying yourself.
Yeah,
Everyone has a
I feel
different
like I
journey.
was because I could feel the
Yeah.
healing happening.
Yeah.
I saw who I'd become.
Right.
Um, and at one point, I hear ego.
Sure.
And after the teachings and the preparations for the medicine and the classes, I recognize this. Ego is telling me something. And in my mind, I kind of picture it like the scene on Leave It to Beaver, where the family is sitting around the dinner table, and like Ward is scolding the neighbor, Eddie Haskell, for saying something mean at dinner.
Mm.
And it was like, I kind of see this in my head, and I saw ego and I recognized him. And I turned and was like, shut the fuck up. Like, you can shut up. And then I went, you know what? That's not very polite. Please have a seat at the table. It is no longer your turn to speak. You are not leading the conversation any longer. You're welcome to sit down and join us, but you're not in charge. And I saw ego take a seat at the table. And kind of at that moment, I see an empty chair with a ribbon tied to it and a red balloon floating outside the window of essentially the dining room or the kitchen, or wherever your kitchen table, wherever the table happened to be.
Yeah.
And I open the window, and the balloon floats in and just kind of like pops at that chair, and there's my soul. So they say the separation happens somewhere between like 3 and 8 years old. You get separated. The experience, whatever it was, happens.
Yep.
You're separated from your soul. And so the second mantra or mission that they put you on is merge me back with my soul at all costs. I had seen who I'd become. I had just found my soul floating in a balloon, if you will, just outside the window. So it wasn't far away. I wasn't distantly separated. It was right there the whole time. It was just sort of being silenced by ego. Ego had put the balloon outside the window and closed the window.
Right.
So once I controlled ego and had him sit down and be quiet, the soul came right back into the room, and I just felt like this, I don't know, like this weight lift. Like I just felt illuminated and like lighter. Um, and it was pretty magical. It was
Yeah.
pretty magical.
That is really magical. Without getting too far into it, because I don't want you to spoil your story, did you encounter your ego at the table for any of the remaining nights, or was that only
Almost
a
every
one
night.
almost every night?
Yep.
So
I saw him there, and we were able to have like healthy conversation
sure,
without him trying to overshadow or talk over anything. He
right,
was able to say stuff, and I'm like, that's an interesting observation. Thank you for that thought.
yeah,
Moving on, kind of thing. Like
right,
whether it was negative or positive, I could recognize that as well. That's the little voice in my head telling me that. It doesn't necessarily make it real.
mhm,
Thank you for having that thought.
yeah.
Let's move on to a different thought, something healthier, or let's build on that positive thought. But yeah, we were able to interact almost every night in the medicine.
I When you say sit around the table, it really comes to my mind how effective a dining room table is in a home with a family and without a TV. And
Yes,
what you're
no
what you're what
distraction.
you're describing is all the hard conversations I had to have when I was growing up. Whenever I had fucked up, my parents, all right, go to the round table. We'd have to sit around the table for an hour or two and talk about what I did wrong and why I did it
Right?
wrong. And sometimes it was more of, okay, so you're going to be doing this. Let's talk about how you're going to do it. And that is something since I've been back, especially that I have taken back with me with my kids here at home is the roundtable talks, is the conversations without the electronics that involved.
Yeah,
So you saying that as part of the way to iron out your ego is really special, honestly, because it ties to real life. And I it's definitely something that I think anybody listening should apply to their life, is just even if it's not a negative, it doesn't have to be a negative conversation. Just sit around the table and talk
yeah,
without a phone or without a TV and just have a conversation.
exactly. Just open, clear communication.
Yes.
Nobody's wrong, nobody's right. You're just voicing what's going on for you and working through things together.
So you had 3 cups on the first night.
I did
Okay.
three, maybe three and a half, because I
How
did go
long?
up and ask for more.
Oh, you did.
Um,
Okay.
and, and I got a teeny tiny bit more.
Yeah.
I would say that was probably almost more on the recommendation of other people
Hmm.
than maybe that I needed it, because I was feeling the medicine. I mean,
How
I
long
was
did it?
purging. Yeah, I was
How,
feeling it.
how long did it take to kick in?
Oh man, I mean, it's hard to judge time in there.
Yeah,
I
it is
think they
hard.
wait like almost 90 minutes before they call for cup two.
Yeah.
I was feeling it maybe 30 minutes after cup two.
Okay.
So I mean, it probably took a couple of hours the first night to kick
Yeah.
in.
Right.
I really wasn't feeling anything and was just kind of sitting there quietly, peacefully, wondering to myself what this was going to turn into or be like. And, was I going to blast into a million pieces like Mike Tyson, or um, like
Or
Gerald Powell, the founder? Was I going to talk to Mrs. Moon,
right.
and go to outer space? I was just wondering what was going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Um, and the first night, I don't know that I saw like a lot of visions, that I saw a lot of things, but I felt a ton. Like I felt a lot of things. Um,
Yeah. It
yeah,
was
night one was pretty good. I would have to say, before we went into night one, I did ask my Mama Aya to be gentle with me. Let's not go too hard on the first night. And sure enough, I felt like night one was was pretty peaceful.
good.
Um, she gently showed me who I'd become.
Yeah.
And towards the end of the night, I was able to tell ego to be quiet and, process through some of that inner conversation. Um, and yeah, when it was all over, I felt pretty good. I didn't sleep a whole lot that night, but I'd say I got, a few hours of sleep. Went back and laid down, talked to my roommates a little bit. Our third roommate showed up at like not quite 10 p.m. on Sunday. He got in kind of late.
Yeah.
And so for a while, we thought it was just the two of us.
Sure.
But then our third roommate showed up, and he's amazing, amazing guy also. We've definitely bonded. We've been in a lot of contact since Rythmia. He and I have been. He's like a life coach, health coach, fitness trainer. He does all kinds of wonderful healing things with his life in his
Cool.
business. And he sent me personal like workout videos of like different things that I can do to focus on, my workouts. We really clicked, the roommates and I.
Yeah. Yeah. I can say as well that I have a special connection with my roommates as well, both of them. It's as simple as picking up the phone and just having somebody to talk to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Did you get to pick what bed you had? What the bed closer to the window, the bed in the middle, or did you
Yeah,
pick?
I was actually the first one in, or no, actually, I'm sorry, I was the second one in the room.
Okay.
Sean, the other Sean, was the first one in the room.
Okay.
He took the bed closest to the window. I
Okay.
took the bed closest to the bathroom, and we left the middle bed open.
Okay. Yeah. I took the window. I had the first choice. I was curious what the first choice would have been also. So that okay.
Nice.
That's consistent. Okay.
Yep.
So on to night two, you had three and maybe a quarter, half cup on Monday. You got to sit
Yep.
down at the dinner table with your ego. You got to see where your soul was, not too far away, floating in a balloon.
Yep.
And then that whole next day on that Tuesday, you get to hear everybody sharing what their story is, and you're kind of absorbing
Yeah.
this supernatural feeling for the first time. You're taking in what doesn't feel like real life.
Correct.
And what again, going back to what sets Rythmia apart, again, I have been to other resorts, is now they're coaching you through this. So now you're
Yep.
comprehending this at a much higher level than just conversations with yourself alone, right?
100%.
So going through the classes in the day, the yoga, the good food, the juice cleanse, all these magnificent things. You're going into night two. What was your direction on night two?
I was super excited. I feel like I was one of the blessed 5% that they talk about. Some of you will go up and just ride at the top all week long. And then some people go up and come down and go up and come down. Some people, it takes a while for them to get up, and it's a
Yeah.
real slow build to it. Boom. I skyrocketed the first night, and maintained this high vibration all week long. So I'm sure I was kind of annoying to some people. Like I said, I realized who I'd become. So the following day in class, I apologized to everyone in the class and was just like, I just want to offer an open apology to everybody because I realized who I've become in life. And in the last 48 hours that we've been here together, if I've told you anything or given you any advice that wasn't warranted or asked for, or if I've said anything that in your mind was like, well, that's not good advice, or, I feel differently, I'm like, I apologize because I now see who I've become, and it's not my place to offer or say those things without being invited. You didn't ask for my opinion. It's not my place to put it on you. Um, a couple of the girls afterwards told me that really touched them. They're like, that was very vulnerable of you to apologize to everyone. They're like, I don't feel personally like you've done any of those things to me, but I can't speak for everybody else. And I just think it was very, very brave of you to do that. And I meant it from the bottom of my heart. Like I'm a different person now because
Yeah.
of these things. That morning in yoga, I had a breakthrough. I cried in yoga and was very happy. And then in class, the apology. So like building up to night two, um, more little miracles kept happening for me throughout the day.
Yeah.
A lot of the girls shared the morning of day two in the classes. There was a lot of crying, a lot of trauma came out for some of the females. Um, and so that, I haven't experienced those things, but like my heart just went out to them,
Yeah.
hearing their stories. And I tried to be like a voice of understanding or like a shoulder to lean on kind of thing. I found myself even in the medicine future nights sending positive energy and vibrations out to everybody else in the Maloka to like send them healing properties. I asked Mama to bring me their suffering, bring me their pain, bring me their uncomfortableness. I'm happy to throw up. I'm happy to purge, like whatever it takes. I want my new soul family to feel the light that I feel. And so please take my light and energy and give it to them. Let me take on their darkness and their traumas because I am fearless in the medicine and I am very powerful and I can handle all of it, is what kept going through my head. But yeah, night two, man, we had Chris as our shaman, and I had been warned about Handsome Chris being extremely powerful
Yeah.
and really taking you deep.
Yeah.
Um, that night, I had so many miracles. I experienced my own rebirth in the form of hatching a dragon egg. I became a dragon. I
Wow.
saw this happen. I
Yeah.
could see and feel my wings. The following day, my back was sore from flapping my wings. And I could, like, in my mind's eye, I could see all of this happening. I could see my scales. I could breathe fire. I could breathe like magical smoke, what I called mystic smoke. It was night two in the outside bathroom. I'm very drawn to fire. I'm a fire sign. I've been around fire since I was a little kid. I've gotten in some trouble because of playing with fire as a little kid. Part of my rebirth, I saw myself as a child, and we danced and played together by the fire. And at one point, he was like right around the fire, and I was just watching him. And he turned around and he was like, "Why do you keep watching me?" And I'm like, "Oh, because I love you because you're my little man. Like I'm enjoying this. I'm having a blast." And he goes, "Well, yeah, but why do you keep watching me? Don't you trust me?" Oh my goodness. I was like, "Of course I trust you. Now I know how my parents felt when
Yeah.
I was playing with fire as a kid."
Right.
And so I just turned around on the concrete bench right next to the fire pit. I just turned around and faced away from the fire, towards the spa where you get massages and everything. And
Yeah.
I just sat there and I could hear him. Like they were playing live music inside. Everybody's dancing. I could hear him and I knew he was dancing and I knew he was playing around the fire, but like zero fear that my inner child was going to get burned or get hurt because he asked me to trust him. And I was able to open my heart and just completely trust him to be fine.
Yeah.
Because that's what he said. I'm fine. I got this. No problem. I went back into the Maloka when they were calling for, I think it was third cup at this point. And I went up. And remarkably, I ended up being first in line for the medicine. If let's say we went up 3 times 4 nights, so 12 different lines I was in. Let's just give that number. I was first in line like 8 or 9 times. And I didn't intend to be first in line. It just happened. I wasn't the closest bed. Other people got up before I did, but somehow they just followed me up there. Like I ended up first. And so I go up for cup three. I'm a dragon at this point, mind you. I've already been in and
Yeah. You're
like,
breathing fire. You got scales.
breathing fire, breathing mystical smoke, trying to help the others in the Maloka. Like
Yeah,
I believe that I'm like putting smoke like fog out to spread across the Maloka that other people would get positive vibes from,
you're like that incense that they're
healing
blowing
energy.
around. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love like anytime they would come by and they would smudge you with the with the smoke, uh the sage and everything to like cleanse the area.
Yeah.
I would, man, I could smell it. I would sit up in bed and like deep breaths and like
Mhm.
what waft it like over myself, to just kind of increase the energy and the effectiveness of it. I mean, I don't know if that actually did increase it or not, but I believed that I'm doing this, that it's
Yeah.
working.
Right.
Um, Loved the smoke part. So anyway, I get up there in line. I'm the first one in line, and I didn't step all the way up on the carpet where they have you stand and like hand you your shot. I was just kind of waiting there because I could see the shaman, or I could see Chris stirring the medicine and everything. And they asked me if I was feeling it. I was like, yeah, I'm feeling it. And he was like, have you purged? And I'm like, yeah, I've purged. And they're like, have you, in the front or the back? And I was like, it's been all the back so far. Everything's good. But yeah, I'm definitely feeling it. So I get cup 3, I go back, I lay down. And the reason that being in line at that point was important as the dragon was the following day, speaking to one of the girls who I had immediately connected with on day 1 of arrival. She identified herself as an empath and was like, you have really big energy. Like, I feel really, really positive things coming off of you. Like, you have a beautiful aura. She told me the morning of day 3 that the night before, when I went in to get that cup,
Yeah.
that I was huge. She was like, you were like 10 or 12 feet tall. You had to basically like shrink yourself and like cower down. She's like, it looked like you were handing them like a thimble to get your medicine. Even though you're just a normal person, you had a shot glass like everybody else.
Right.
She was like, you appeared huge to me and you were glowing, like just glowing in the Maloka.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was a dragon. Like,
Well,
I became a dragon.
yeah. And that's the thing about ayahuasca that a lot of people don't understand is multiple people see the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so powerful. Because
Yeah.
when you go drop some acid at a party, nobody's on the same wavelength whatsoever.
No,
Somebody
no,
might be caroling through Wizard of Oz while the other person is fighting the depths of hell, right?
sure.
What you're experiencing is what somebody else is experiencing in the same exact moment.
Yeah.
Just like multiple people will say that they see little gremlins running around with toolboxes.
Yep.
There's multiple people that see the same thing, which makes me really think hard about the whole theory of if you were to draw a line, if you draw a line of chalk in front of an ant on the concrete, the ant will no longer cross that line because that ant then believes that that line is a wall that they can no longer get over.
Sure.
And is that where our mind is? Is our mind stuck in what we think is really reality and we can't see further on? And is that what this medicine is? It's opening up this vessel of additional information in front of us that has always been in front of us this whole time.
Yeah. We've been separated from our spirits and unable to see it because we are all truly connected. And it's removing those, I guess, what I'll call reality barriers to where our souls can connect and we can start to see a different plane of existence at the same time.
Yes.
They say like dogs and little kids can see and hear things that we as adults don't experience. And like they might have an imaginary friend and you're like, no, those don't exist. No, I think they do. I
Yeah.
think children before they have the split are seeing things that do exist. And we as adults who have been jaded in life don't believe that that is possible. And so it doesn't exist because we don't believe it. But then when ayahuasca opens your mind and removes those reality barriers, you can be in a room of 30, 50, I've heard 80 people at a time
Yep.
at Rythmia,
All seeing the same
and
thing.
they're experiencing the same stuff.
Yes.
Everybody is intertwined, and I fully believe that now.
How about that fire? How about that spot out there? You were talking about that. I sat in front of that fire for what felt like you said, it's hard to tell time, for what felt like about 5 hours.
Yeah,
And in front of that fire, I had my biggest breakthrough. Personally, that bracelet. Did they give you a bracelet where it had 3 different colors in the middle and then maybe like 4 white beads on each side? It was kind of a
yeah,
string bracelet.
yeah, to kind of guide you through the labyrinth.
Yes, yes. So I was wearing that bracelet one night when I was in front of this fire, and I had my 3 beads in the middle, which were different colors. And I'm thinking, okay, there's my 3 kids right there. Those are like my rocks, right? And
Yep,
then I'm like, okay, on the right side, let me think of everybody that is so important to me, like the loves in my life outside of my kids. Name off, I think it's like four or five people. I forget the number, right?
sure.
And this, by the way, was on night 4. We'll get to your night 4 shortly, but Um, on the left side, same number of beads. There's five. So on my left side is everybody in my life I had to forgive. Maybe somebody that betrayed me, I betrayed them. Our history is fucked, whatever, right? So I
Mhm.
have the obvious ones, and then I got two left. And I sat there in front of that fire watching the different volunteers stoke that fire, grab the incense out of it, throw it in the pan multiple times. It felt like I watched them reload that pot of incense at least 10 times. And
Wow.
and I'm sitting there thinking, what are these two final people? I'm just locked in on this, right? And it finally came to me who the two were. As soon as the names popped in my mind, I immediately had to go shit my pants, like within a second. And that was personally my big breakthrough. But you talking about sitting in front of that fire, having that essentially you found your split in front of that fire,
Yeah.
and I found who I needed to forgive. And if you remember, when you sit in front of the fire, you look to the right. There's that portrait above all the firewood of
Yeah.
that native face with the feathers.
Yep.
And I remember I didn't notice that face until I thought of the two names. I looked over to my right and I was like, holy fuck. And there was that face. It was, yeah, I had to throw that in.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. The,
So
the the fire was very powerful for me.
it
Like
is,
I
it's
said, I've
so
always been
powerful.
drawn to fire. I went out to the fire pit every single night.
Yep.
I don't know that I was ever there quite as long in one sitting as you were, but I went to the fire multiple times every single night. Night two, when I became a dragon, I went out there and was like gesturing like grandly with my arms, like bringing in heat. And like a couple of times, one of the helpers would come out and be like, "Hey, brother, like, please be careful." And I just wanted to be like, I got this. I'm
Yeah.
a dragon, okay?
Yeah.
But
Right. I
like
played with fire when
I'm
I was
just like,
little. I
yes,
get it.
yes, sir, absolutely, no problem. Just kind of take a step back but I was all about the fire. I will say I
Yeah.
didn't make it through a single night with my shirt on. I
Oh,
started
no.
with a shirt on, every night,
No.
and it was gone
Get rid of the
within like
shirt.
30 minutes of taking medicine. Like
Yeah. You
I
gotta
was
get
just
rid of the
way too
shirt.
hot all the time.
Yeah. But
Spent a lot of time by the fire, would go back inside. Never really needed my bucket. Like the whole first night, I forgot to take my bucket with you. And they keep telling you, take your bucket everywhere you go because you never know when the urge is going to happen and you're going to have to, use your bucket.
yep.
The second night, I was doing real good with my bucket. And that was the night I was a dragon. I was sitting by the fire, same sensations coming over me. And I'm like, okay, I've got plenty of energy. Let's go use the outside bathroom. We haven't tried that one yet. So I went in there for a change of scenery, really.
Yeah.
Same experience. Um, it was it was very interesting. So I would purge and it would be 3 grabs of toilet paper was all I ever needed. So three. And then I would wash my hands. I would say thank you, close the lid, flush, wash my hands, and then 3 paper towels.
Yeah.
So everything occurred for me in threes,
Okay.
basically, which was it's just an interesting number. It's a powerful number in the
It's a
universe.
very powerful. A lot
And
of
so
things
I'm
happen in
done.
threes.
And I'm like, okay, you're done. It's time to stand up, clean yourself, go back outside. And I leaned forward. And as soon as I went to stand up, I just knew it was happening. And so instead of standing up, I just reached forward. I grabbed my bucket. I dry heaved a couple of times. I threw up in my bucket. I looked down in my bucket and there was a stingray, probably 5 to 6 inches across,
Wow.
like he was swimming in my bucket. And it's all black.
Yeah.
If you've been there, if you've done ayahuasca, you've thrown up in your bucket, it's black,
It is black.
solid black,
And it stinks. It fucking
and it
stinks.
stinks. And I
Yeah.
saw I saw the stingray, and then he went poof, in a puff of smoke, disappeared, and there was a scorpion, and that moved a little bit and looked at me and like curled its tail, and then poof, turned into a frog or a toad or whatever. And there were water drops on the concrete from people washing their hands and then going to the paper towels. And all three of the water drops popped up into smaller frogs, and we spoke to each other without words. They assured me that everything was perfect, that I'm perfect, and I just had a massive healing. I am ready to heal others. And then they all disappeared. The three frogs outside the bucket were just gone, and the frog inside the bucket vanished into smoke that wouldn't stop coming out of my bucket. My bucket was overflowing like fog. And so I just carried this bucket of fog around with me outside, um, not for very long. And then I went back inside and I put it at the end of my bed and I laid back down and everything was fine. And we did third cup and everything was fine. And then I, like a hour or two later, I touched my bucket with my foot and I went, oh, like, be careful, there's a bucket. And I looked in it, expecting it to have been changed and cleaned. They had not touched my bucket. It was still, it was still my bucket of mystical smoke
Yeah.
coming out of my puke bucket. I
Right.
hadn't cleaned it out yet. And so I'm like, okay, well, there's a reason for this because it's been a couple of hours and nobody has changed my bucket. Throughout all of this, I had gotten up and gone outside a couple of times, walked around in the grass, laid down with my shirt off, grounding in the fresh grass, just enjoying everything. I would go back in and I would hug the Maloka. My bed was up against one of the big posts
Oh
on
yeah.
the boys' side of the room.
Hmm.
And I would just hug them. I would just hug the pole and just wrap my arms around it, close my eyes, and just say, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful. And then I would put love and light into the building to sprinkle down on everyone else to ease their time and just make things easier is what I believed in my head. And I saw the smoke coming out of my bucket doing the same thing, breathing healing smoke across the Maloka to everyone else. And I started to hear more and more laughing than I had heard before. Like a lot of people were starting to giggle and laugh.
Oh yeah.
And I
Tuesday night
started
was
to
big
laugh.
laugh night for us too.
Yeah. On the last night, by the last night, I would hear somebody throwing up. Second night and then third night, the sacred feminine night, I was sending a lot of healing out to people. But then by the last night, by the fourth night, I would hear somebody just in it, getting sick, and I would cheer them on. Like
Yeah.
instead of, oh, like I feel bad for you,
Yeah. Get
I'll
it
just go,
out.
yes, brother, yes, sister, get it. I
Yeah.
know you're healing. This is so powerful. Like
Right.
I was just so excited for them to be going in it and just going through the suffering. They call it suffering.
Mm.
Not comfortable at all times.
Right.
A lot of uncomfortable moments. But knowing that you need to get out of your comfort zone to heal and to grow, I was I was all aboard. Like I said, I went to the top and I rode that wave all week long, right at the top. I was one of the very lucky 5%. By the end of night two, I had completed all three of the missions. I knew who I'd become. I had merged back with my soul. I felt my heart was totally healed. It was the morning. It was the fourth morning. So we'd done 3 nights of ayahuasca. Um, the following morning, it was in yoga that the yogi pulled pulled my grief out of my chest.
Yeah.
And I knew at that moment, like I was healed. I was good. I am now in a position to spread light and love, which remarkably had been one of my prayers for years. I'm not a Jesus. I'm not a Allah. I'm not a Muhammad. I'm not a Krishna. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I will never tell you that you're wrong or that your religion is too different from me because through ayahuasca, I now believe we are all connected through the holy energy, through the spirit.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you call it. You're not wrong. If you follow something faithfully, good for you. I fully support that, no matter what it looks like for you. I'm just super happy that you found spirit inside you and that you can see that existing elsewhere in the world.
Yeah.
Um,
I think a lot of religion in different parts of the world, because it's different, a lot of things get lost in translation. And I think certain cultures maybe absorb a certain message more than others. And that might
Yeah.
be why we see differences. But what we see the most of right now in America is especially is like a hijacking of religion to maybe push certain types of narratives or thoughts. And what this medicine does is it separates you from maybe like the propaganda that some people in some costumes in a church try to roll out at you, and it directly connects you with God. And
It does.
exactly what you're
100%.
saying is exactly the way I felt when I came back. It was like we're all children of God. We're all
Yeah.
connected, and God is inside every single one of us.
Yep.
And
At all times in
every time,
everything.
yep,
I've known for a while, and I've told people, uh, energy is it's magic, like spirit. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only transform shape, or it can only transform.
yeah,
It you can't kill energy. It just changes to a different form of energy.
right,
Um, and they kind of reiterate that at Rhythmia in the ayahuasca. They're like, energy is energy. It's everywhere. It's in all of us. You could be a born again Christian who's like, I've let Jesus in my heart. Well, if you're really a devout, one of these Christians, and you believe that you let Jesus in your heart and Jesus is in everybody, then you also, in my mind, my understanding, believe, like you said, God is in all of us. God is everywhere. Well, they tell you in like Sunday school and stuff that we were made in God's image. Well, so if you really believe that you let Jesus in your heart and you really believe that we're made in God's image, then you start to understand and believe what the shaman are telling you, that they have the power to bless, just like you have the power to bless. And if you are really in spirit and really connected, you have the same healing power within you because of spirit that Jesus would have had in his day, healing the sick and the wounded.
mm-hmm,
That medicine shows you, ayahuasca shows you, we all have this capability. And they told us, arrhythmia, the medicine isn't healing you. You're healing you. Spirit is healing you. The medicine is taking you to be one with spirit so that these things can happen. But the healing is happening spiritually, physically, all happening. But it's not this miracle tar water that they give you to drink.
right.
That elicits the chemicals already existing in your being to be able to align with that spiritual plane, is how I believe it and how I understood it, and completely feel that way. So yeah, no matter what you call your spirit, your God, your leader, your holy, whatever, praise be to that and to you for believing, and thank you for having faith. Thank you for caring enough to want to spread love and light and consciousness across the world. Like, I'm just so grateful for everybody I meet, even if they're negative. That was a learning opportunity. That was an opportunity for me to share love and light, or to take on, or hear your pain, hear your trauma, and show you a kindness, show you an understanding, tell you it's okay. You're perfect just the way you are. Just because this happened to you doesn't mean anything negative on you. It's just something that happened, and we can forgive and let it go and be grateful for the experience, and we can move on positively in life.
Very well put. Do you have more to add for night 3 and night 4?
Oh, well, so night 3, I did a ton of healing. Like I said, I had lost my girlfriend. I lost 2 aunts. I'd had my heart broken a couple of times in relationship previously. Um, my mom had been dying to go to do ayahuasca, but she's got heart stents and she's on several medications for blood pressure and for her heart. And so Rythmia they won't allow her to come. She has a do not resuscitate order, which I found out from the medical staff at Rythmia. Costa Rica as a country doesn't honor do not resuscitate from a tourist. So even if she was to come there, if anything was to happen, they were going to go against her wishes
Sure.
to save her life.
Right.
even though she may have wanted to go in the medicine and pass on spiritually,
Mm-hmm.
she was prepared to do that. They just they don't want that sort of risk or liability, and so they're like, "I'm sorry, Marlene, with your heart condition and the medicines, Rythmia can't be your outlet. We can't do this for you." But as they tell you, the ayahuasca being in the medicine will heal seven generations up and down. It was day 3 prior to prior to doing medicine for the Sacred Feminine Night. I, for the first time, had my phone in my Rythmia shoulder bag, and I was walking around the property with it so that I could take photos of like the Buddha statues and of the monkeys in the trees, and if we saw the macaws, take pictures, take a picture of the pool, like just some pictures of the resort because it was very beautiful, as you know. And my phone starts ringing in my bag, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm getting a call. That's cool. I got connection." So I pull my phone out. Nobody's calling me. I'm calling my mom. My
Wow.
phone dialed my mom in my bag.
Wow.
And so I pull it out and she's answering the phone going, "Hello, hello." I'm like, "Hey, what's up? It's me. Sorry." I was like, "I don't know what happened. My phone is in my bag and it dialed you." And she was like, "Okay, well, I'll let you go. You're probably real busy." And I'm like, "No, no. While I've got you, let me just say a couple of things." And so I apologized to her. I said some heartfelt things, that I'd experienced in ayahuasca and not in ayahuasca, just being at the resort. And she started crying. And she was like, "Oh my God, son, like you healed my heart." And I'm like, "No, I didn't. Like spirit is healing you. Ayahuasca is calling you. You have to come and do this." And we didn't know at that time that she wasn't allowed to do it.
Right.
He was just like, "Oh, you just called me. I'm crying. These are tears of joy and happy. I feel my heart healing. I am so going to Rythmia and doing this. Screw Florida. I'm going to Costa Rica where you did it because this sounds magical." And later we found out that she can't go.
Yeah.
But so I totally believe I am healing her heart.
Yeah.
This is happening for her
Right.
through me doing the medicine. And that was before even doing the medicine on Feminine Night. But Feminine Night, I saw my mom. I saw my sister, who I ended up buying a gift certificate for. I used my alumni discount and I bought her a gift certificate. Used the same credit card my mom let me use for zero interest. Asked her permission to do it. Was like, "Hey, mom, will you split this with me? I want to buy this for Kirsten. I really feel that she needs this." And she was like, "Absolutely. For the miracles that you're experiencing, I will absolutely go in and do this for your sister." So I made the call. I booked the gift certificate. As it turns out, my sister is going to follow Western medicine. She's on a lot of antidepressants. She's got some thyroid stuff going on. She's got some other stuff that the doctors can't pinpoint what it is. And so her psychiatrist, her therapist, and her doctor that prescribes the medicine and stuff is like, "We don't think you need to do this. You can't come off your antidepressants. We finally found this balance for you that seems to be working in a positive light." I myself will attest that these results, some of these beautiful results, have occurred since I went and did the medicine. That since I've been back from Costa Rica for the last going on 4 weeks now, um, these changes are occurring as a result of me doing it. As they say, it heals up and down, as well as linear across generations.
Yeah.
I've heard of small miracles happening for friends of mine uh, that I feel as a result of experiencing the medicine. I've got a few friends that are dying to go after hearing my story. But yeah, so night 3, I saw my mom. I saw a couple of my exes. I saw an ex who really didn't treat me very well. And she popped into the room like out of nowhere.
Damn
And
it.
I looked at her and was like, "What are you doing
Yeah.
here?"
What are you doing here?
And she was like, "Oh, well, Jessica's here and Kirsten's here and your mom's here and Haley's here." And she was like, "I thought we were all forgiving." And I said, "Oh no, we are. We are. You're forgiven.
Yeah.
No
Leave.
animosity. But I see your soul. I see
Yeah.
what an ugly person you are in your soul."
Yeah.
And this is a beautiful celebration happening. So I'm sorry, but you're not welcome.
You're not welcome.
Would you please leave? And like she turned into not a monster, but like what I truly saw her soul as.
Yeah.
Not this beautiful woman, but as this not beautiful creature. And she turned around and left,
Mm-hmm.
like walked out the invisible door and left the room.
Yeah.
And I was left with my mom, a woman who has previously broken my heart, my ex, the one that had passed away,
Yeah.
my sister, um, briefly saw my aunts, but just kind of be like a tip of the hat, like a nod of like, everything's okay.
Yeah.
There's no animosity. Nope. No hard feeling. Okay, cool. We're good spiritually.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then they kind of went away.
Yeah.
But at one point, I saw my sister for the wonderful mother and just really strong daughter and sister that she is and she exists to me in the world as. And I got off of my mattress and I laid down on the floor, on the
Mm-hmm.
rubber floor next to my mattress. And like I kind of, they took turns, but like I would have my mom like lay down in my bed. I'd be like, no, you deserve to rest. You have given me so much. You have done so many things. You've worked so hard your whole life. Please, please have my bed. And so like they would take turns like laying in my bed and then dancing on the floor in front of me. Like I could see them dancing.
Yeah.
I got up and danced with them at one point. But for probably a good hour and a half, 2 hours, I just laid on the floor and gave my bed spiritually to the women who have been so strong and so important in my life. So the sacred feminine night was very powerful for me as well. I tried not to do the drumming on my chest and the whistling, which I found myself doing on night two. I will hand to God, Scouts on, or whatever you want to call it. I was chanting with the shaman while they were chanting and playing music in a language that we don't speak, never heard before,
Yeah.
native tongues being chanted. And I am chanting in my mind with them, drumming right along with them. At one point, I was getting so into it that a helper came over and was like, "Hey, brother, could you be a little quieter? We're trying to be noble silence at the moment, like moment of silence." And I was like, "Oh, so sorry, brother. No problem, no problem." So I just drummed a little bit quieter and stopped whistling and
Yeah.
you know,
Mm.
but like
That's a good
I
memory right
felt
there.
like I was completely aligned on night two and night three. Gave my bed away, just saw everybody dancing. It was just a very beautiful experience. Night four, Yahe night. That's the big night. That's what everybody talks about.
That is the big night. Before you get
Um,
into it, I want to mention one thing about your conversation with your mother and her
sure.
healing through your healing. My first night personally was a situation of my parents dying and what does my life look like after my parents die. And the when you mentioned generational healing, what I see that as was I was telling myself that week, when my parents die, let's say 10 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever it is, let's not think about what my life's going to be like afterward, but how do my parents want to remember me on their last breath? Do they want to remember me as this drug addict and this guy that, is divorced from his wife with 3 kids, knocks up another girl in high school, and he's just, yeah, he did fine in his career, but he was just a fucking mental case? Is that what the way that I want to be remembered by my parents, whose opinion matters the most to me? And I think that amount of energy and caring and consideration of that other person's feelings is part of the healing. It's that energy that you're giving, like, okay, you know what, like I'm breaking free from these chains and I'm going to be my own man. And
Yeah,
that's the way that my parents want to see me on their last breath.
yeah,
And that's something that I can be proud of and hold my head high on when my parents eventually do go, is they got to see their son at his peak.
absolutely.
So
I think
I
that's what all parents, excuse me, truly want for their children is just to see them at their highest existence, see them live their best life,
Yeah.
see them be as true to themselves as they can. And so that's, I mean, that's amazing that you had that breakthrough. And Definitely you recognizing that you're blessed to still have both your parents, and to think about the important part is how they're going to remember you on their deathbed. Did you fulfill all the good things that you wanted to, in their eyes?
Yeah.
That's a very, very powerful thought and realization and breakthrough to have.
It's
So I'm very, very pleased to hear that ayahuasca helped you to find that.
yeah,
That's huge.
massive, massive.
I mean, I can't think of a boy alive that I've ever met that doesn't just want his dad to be proud of him.
Hmm.
And I've heard from so many men that growing up, I never heard they were proud of me. So the first time he told me he was proud of me on his deathbed, it made me cry. And I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, that's tough.
how hard would that be to hear they're proud of you for the first time that you can remember, when you're about to lose them and you don't get to spend those moments, knowing those wonderful feelings about each other.
Yeah.
Um, I was very blessed. I quit my job. I had a very, very good job. I was doing very well in Colorado. And I left my career to come to Missouri and be with my dad, because my sister and I both saw his health failing, more rapidly than he would admit, more rapidly than he would, than anybody else would admit was happening. They're like, no, he's going to be around for a while. My sister and I are like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, he's not making the choices to live a long life. He's making the choices to be done, is what it felt like to us. And so
Yeah.
she came from Washington, I came from Colorado. We both convened here in Missouri, moved my dad in, and we spent 2.5 wonderful years with him right by our side, like to see him every single day. So very, very blessed in that. So yeah, never take any moment that you have with your parents for granted.
100%. Let's
But
let's
yeah,
let's
so
wrap it up with night 4 here. Let's hear about
so yeah,
Yahe
for
night 4.
Yahe night,
Yeah.
was a little nervous, having experienced the first 3 nights, had all these breakthroughs, all these miracles,
Sean,
fully trusted the medicine.
before you go all the way through, I'm just going to explain to anybody listening that night 4 Yahe night is roughly about a 12 to 14 hour ceremony. It's longer than the other ceremonies. The typical
Yes.
ceremony is like 8 to 10. This Yahe is a specific type of plant from, was it Colombia specifically?
Yeah, it's the original recipe, dated back over 5,000 years.
Great. Great. Yes. So
Yeah.
this medicine is different than the other 3 nights that you do it. And this is what in my eyes puts it all together.
It
So
does.
let's go ahead and continue. Sorry.
Sure. Oh no, you're fine. That was a very important point to make. But yeah, Yahe is the original sacred medicine, thousands of years old. Usually, I would presume, my understanding is that your fourth night with Yahe is a very experienced shaman. It's one of the elder shaman that comes in for the Thursday night ceremony. Very, very powerful. On Thursday night, you receive a personal blessing. They bring you up in small groups and line you up, and they go by you and bless you with all the instruments.
That was my
Um,
favorite part.
the spit, like
Yeah.
the physical, put their hands on you. The sage, I forget the name of the instrument, but the leaves that make the rattling.
Yes.
Like they really, really get into it on Thursday night. It is a really, really powerful night. Um, 2.5 cups. I went up. I went up. Was again, first in line, having come back inside from being outside and enjoying the stars and the grass and the spirit and the singing, and the music was amazing. And I was again riding cloud 9 the entire week. So I didn't feel like I had a whole lot more healing to do on Yahe night. Yahe night occurred to me to be not gentle, but a very easy night.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of purging. I didn't have a lot of uncomfortable moments. It was very comfortable. I hugged, did the same mattress as I did the night before, where I was hugging the pole. So
Yeah.
I had my bed there again. Was able to hug the pole quite a bit, send a lot of love to everybody. But yes, I go up for cup number 3, and one of the other shaman, not the head guy serving, but one of his assistants, one of the other shaman, um, as I approached, I stopped short of the carpet, and they were stirring. They were like really stirring in the medicine, like messing with it. And I saw him pick something out and flick it out the window. The windows, no screens, are just open.
Mm-hmm.
And he's picking something out and flicking it out. So in my mind, I'm going, I bet a fly landed in it. He's just picking a bug out and flicking it, no big deal. But he's stirring and stirring. And the helper approached me and said, "Brother, are you feeling the medicine?" I'm sorry. The first question he asked me was, "Brother, do you have patience?" And I just said, "Oh, yes. I am very much at peace right now. I have eternal patience." And he just kind of smiled, and he was like, "Do you feel the medicine?" I said, "Oh, yes. I'm very much in the medicine, very much at peace." And he just, "Oh, good, brother." And he gave me a hug. And then he went up and he told, I think it was Mishta, I think was our shaman that night,
Okay.
Misha or Mishta, told him what I had said. And he turned around and he looked at me and addressed me, and he was like, "So you're feeling it, you're good." And I said, "Oh yeah, I'm doing wonderful." And he pours me this little baby cup, this
Yeah.
teeny tiny baby drink. And I look at it, and part of me was like, "That's all I get." But
Yeah.
hey, that's all I needed, right? I
Yeah.
trust them.
Yeah.
I
That's right.
took the shot. There was a chunk, like a chunk of wood. I swallowed what felt like a block of wood. And so I don't know if he just gave me like a really concentrated cup,
Yeah, he probably did. That sounds very
because I went
concentrated.
back, I laid down, I maybe had a couple more visions, but within 30 minutes, I was curled up with my second pillow in the fetal position. And like, I didn't feel like I went to sleep, but the next thing I know, somebody is waking me going, "Good morning. Would you like to come up for your blessing?" And I'm like, "Oh, yes." I go, "Can I bring my cup?" And he goes, "No."
No. No, we're done with
"Okay.
that now. Yeah.
No, we're done with that."
Yeah.
So apparently I had slept through cups 4 and 5, because they offered, if you
Yeah.
feel that you don't have enough medicine or you're not feeling it, please come up and get more. And apparently they made that announcement a couple times, and I was just,
You were sleeping. Yeah, you were
I'm
out.
just sleeping.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a nada, because I was able to wake up and remember everything.
Right.
So I didn't have a nada, which, for those of you listening who've not heard these podcasts, a pinta is when you see visions. You have what they call like hallucinations or visions in your mind's eye. Not necessarily something you see physically in front of you, but like you envision something happening. Um, then you have the body, where you feel drunk in the medicine, you feel something occurring, you feel changes, which I felt. I felt my knees healing. I felt pain leaving my body. Um, at one point, I'd seen a psychic at least a year prior to this, and she had told me I need to let go of uh, regret. I need to let go of animosity. I need to let go of my anger. That I'm holding resentment inside. That I need to let go of my resentment, and that it's actually physically manifested in the lower right side of my body, in my rib cage. She was like, "I can see it's like a green orb, and it's in you, and it's stuck, and you need energy healing to get it out." And I'd gotten Reiki, which is energy healing, massages, acupuncture. I went to a spiritual healer. Um, I didn't feel any different. But night two, I had what they call the surgery. Like you were saying, you envision little trolls or little gnomes or gremlins running around.
Yeah.
And oftentimes people will see these things come and perform a surgery and remove something.
Yeah.
Well, I felt a pressure in my rib cage, and it felt like someone had just put their fist in my body. And then I felt something pull out of my body, like physical pain. Like I felt this pain, like somebody was tugging my ribs apart. And then I felt emptiness inside. And I was told the next day in class, "That's a surgery. You experienced a surgery." And now the beautiful part is you can choose what to fill that space with. So I walked around that day just in eternal gratitude, thanking the sky and the trees and the birds and the flowers. Prior to Rythmia, I'm allergic to wasps and bee stings.
Okay.
I get severe localized reactions that turn into massive skin infections. And I typically end up in the emergency room or urgent care getting shots of both steroids and antibiotics. This happened just a few years ago. I got one wasp sting on my thigh, and the red spot was bigger than an NFL football, like
Wow.
swollen, painful, red, horrible experience. So in ayahuasca, in the medicine, I don't remember which night it was, but I made peace with stinging insects and things that bite you.
Yeah.
I made peace with snakes,
Yeah.
poisonous snakes. Like I saw snakes crawling over me, and I was able to like tickle their chins and have them smile at me and make peace and not bite me. I made peace with insects. I got stung on the hand by a bee at Rythmia and was able to just kind of look at it and be like, oh, well, thank you for that gift of your venom because I believe that it's healing me now. And
It
I
is
sucked
healing
on it.
technically.
Yeah, it turned into a little blister. I bit the blister off and I spit it out. I had no reaction whatsoever on my hand. Since being back from Rythmia, I've been bitten by spiders twice. A single bump, it itches.
Hmm.
I put a Band-Aid and some medicine on it. No reaction. It doesn't get any worse. As I learned from Dr. Google, my second spider bite, which is on the back of my leg, I still have a Band-Aid over it actually, because it's a really good waterproof Band-Aid, and I'm scared to rip it off because it hurts.
Yeah.
Um, I identified it through a picture and through a description of what it looked like. I got bit by a brown recluse. Those in some cases can be deadly.
Okay.
Typically, you have a huge reaction. It can cause a massive infection. It can cause flesh-eating bacteria to settle in, and you can lose chunks of muscle, or your body has to get cut out to like heal from this. I've had nothing. I've had
Wow.
no reactions to
Yeah.
insect bites and stings ever since doing ayahuasca. Um, I was bit by a tick earlier this year. Here in the Midwest, you can get bit by a Lone Star tick and you come down with something that they call alpha gal. It is an allergy to mammal meat, so beef and pork,
Oh, that's
especially.
horrible.
When you eat these things, you have these terrible reactions.
Yeah.
I had a pretty mild case, I discovered. Um, I did ayahuasca. I did the deep sea colon cleanse. I only did one, even though you get two.
I did
They
one
told me I'd done
too.
so much purging, I didn't need a second one.
Yeah.
So never did that. I eat steak and pork and sausages and brats all the time. I have zero symptoms. I have zero reaction.
It's amazing.
My gut is clean. I'm alpha gal free. I believe I'm no longer allergic to wasp and bee stings. I've been bitten by spiders, ones that we know are very venomous. Nothing has happened. Like I am perfectly fine. I can still feel in my rib cage this space where there was something there. And if I'm
Yeah.
having a rough day, I kind of put my hand on it and I remind myself, light and love and gratitude, light, love, and gratitude. You know, there's no animosity, there's no anger, there's no resentment. Just let it go. And like I feel spiritually free. So yeah, so to go deeper, night 4, Yahe night, big night for everybody. Nothing but miracles for me. I was totally at peace, laughing, just relaxed. I was able to sleep on the medicine, have beautiful dreams, you know, vivid, but they're beautiful. Nothing negative, just all beauty.
Yeah.
Went outside at one point, was laying in the hammock. This was probably 10 to 15 minutes before they called everybody to come back inside because they were going to say good morning, wake everybody up, and then give the morning, you know, the morning prayer and the morning speech and like the wrap up, I guess you will.
Right.
You know, they invited everybody to watch the sunrise prior to the speech. But I'm out there and I'm laying in the hammock. I'd probably only been there for like 10 minutes. There's a spattering of clouds in the sky, but really it's a pretty clear sky. And I'm laying there in the hammock and I'm just thinking to myself, and I'm kind of talking to myself, I just went, man, this has been like the most beautiful experience. I'm so blessed to have this. I'm like, the only thing that could possibly make this more enjoyable for me, because I was really hot. Again, I kept taking my shirt off,
Mhm.
being by the fire. I was just warm. I was like, as if it would rain right now, but there's no clouds. I'm just like, it'd be really cool if it would rain right now. If I did not get hit with 10 or 12 raindrops at that exact moment that I wished for rain, it rained on me. And then as the guy came out to ask me to come inside, I told him, I was like, brother, would you believe me if I told you I just manifested rain? And he was like, yeah, I believe that. And I
I
was like,
believe
I
that.
just went, I sure wish it would rain. Boom. We both got rained on, like
Wow. Wow.
10 drops, like no length of time. It was just like I wished and it happened and then it was over. And I'm like, that really said it for me that through the medicine and even after the medicine, if you can do the breath work, you can meditate, you can get yourself in that spiritual state where you're really connecting with spirit. We really can manifest anything we want.
It's
Like
true.
anything you can dream up in your life, you really, I believe, have the power to manifest. In Costa Rica, they offered us stem cells. I bought. I did 50 million stem cells while I was there. I no longer have numbness and electricity shooting down my neck, across my shoulder blade, and down my right arm. I had a traumatic injury in October of 22 that left me with severe nerve damage. I had a traumatic brain injury. I couldn't use my right arm for almost 2 weeks, had no control over it whatsoever, other than I could hold things with my hand, but I couldn't lift my arm. I would have to use my left arm to lift up my right arm and grab a cup and bring it to my mouth to take a drink. And if I let go of my arm with my left hand, it would just drop. Just no control whatsoever. Complete control of my body. I can feel everything. I no longer have numbness in my feet. I no longer have numbness in my arm and my hand. Um, was that the ayahuasca or the stem cells? I don't know. Maybe a combination of both. My knees don't hurt anymore. I had torn tendons in both of my knees through injuries from previous in life,
Yeah.
snowboarding. I got pushed down a cliff in 2022. That was my traumatic injury. I fell down off of a cliff, hit my head, got knocked out, and rolled to the bottom of a ravine. It took 4 grown men to get my body up out of this ravine. I came to in a gurney with a white light and like being bandaged up. And I could hear them on the radio with the paramedics talking about how long it was going to take to get me to a hospital and how long I was going to be at the hospital. And I hopped up and was like, I'm exercising my right to no medical treatment. I want to leave. Please take the restraints off me and let me go. And I walked out of the first aid tent, traumatic head injury, not being able to use my right arm, and pretending like I was fine. Um, all of this is being healed as a result of going to Rythmia. Again, some of it is probably the stem cells. A lot of it is also probably the spiritual healing from ayahuasca. But I freaking made it rain on my wish, on command, on Yahe night. And went in, heard the beautiful morning greeting, heard the speech. Um, that's when they offered to bless your talisman.
Yep.
I had made crystal bracelets prior to going and wore them through all the ceremonies. I had glow in the dark bracelets that I had made. And like I said, I would pray to be the love and light in the world to spread to others. So I literally was glowing in the dark for every ceremony in the Maloka. Anyone could look around and see exactly where I was at because I'm glowing on both of my wrists.
Yeah.
Had all my bracelets blessed, went to the gift shop, bought one of the beaded necklaces that the shaman make after they've been in ceremony
Yep.
and they have a vision and then they create this beautiful jewelry. Went in to support them, bought that. But yeah, Yahe night occurred to be actually a very easy night for me because I had done all my healing in night 1 and 2, and then recognized and sent healing out to everyone else on nights 3 and 4, was cheering everybody on as they were getting sick in the Maloka on night 4. I mean, there were people that didn't have their breakthroughs until they left and went home.
Yeah. Or breath
And
work.
we've
Yeah.
communicated that through WhatsApp, through the group, and through the Facebook group.
Right.
We're light workers group 423. I don't know which group you guys are.
407.
Um, nice.
Yeah.
And I love it. No matter what group you're in, we can connect through this experience
Mm-hmm.
on a really deep level. And like even you and I, having gone at completely different times,
Yeah.
months apart from each other, had similar experiences.
And this is the first
Um,
time you and I have ever just had a
First
conversation.
time we've ever met or talked.
Yeah.
And to find out that we've shared ayahuasca experience at a spiritual level is just, I mean, that's a miracle to me.
Yeah.
To just find somebody else somewhere else in the world who can completely align with this, to some people, mythical tale that I come up with
Yeah.
from doing a hallucinogenic in the jungle. It's so much
Sounds
more than that.
crazy.
It's so much deeper than that.
It is. It definitely is. When I see you 3 to 4 weeks removed from this, it almost seems like it's reminding me of like the freshness that you
Yeah.
feel. It's like you're in a new relationship with somebody and it's
Yeah.
good for like the first 6 months, right? That's
Yeah.
that's the energy I'm getting off of you. And I can tell you, and anybody in your group that even listens to this, to stay in contact with each other and keep that circle of support, because there are going to be times throughout the next few months where you're gonna have a day, and you're unexpectedly you're gonna get a text from somebody or a call from somebody within that group, that's just thinking about you.
Yeah.
And I it's just reminding me more and more how much I need to go back. So I am gonna be going back here within the next year for sure. And I'm definitely excited about that. Sean, do you have
Yeah.
anything left to add?
I mean, just to anyone watching one of these podcasts for the first time, trust the medicine, trust spirit if it's calling you. It is calling you, I promise you. Exactly as they tell you, the group that you meet is the group you're supposed to meet. The date that you book it for is the date you're supposed to book it for. You will have experiences prior to going and doing ayahuasca. The medicine starts working, the DMT in your body starts working from the moment you book that trip until the time you're there. You are in the medicine, whether you know it, admit it, or want it or not. It's happening. They will tell you the first day. You might have an idea of what you want to get out of this experience. We are not going to tell you that's what you're going to get. You're going to get what you need, not necessarily what you want, but
Mhm.
just trust the medicine. They ask you to approach it without fear. So I invite anyone to watch this podcast. If you feel drawn to do it, absolutely follow that, do it. If you find yourself in an experience in life where you're scared, take a deep breath, close your eyes, know that spirit has your highest good at heart, that all you have to do is accept whatever you call it, God, Allah, Krishna, whatever, accept spirit and trust and go forward without fear. Fear's chemical response in your body is the same chemical response as love and excitement. So recognize the fear, choose to be excited, and love that you're going to have a positive outcome. Because even if it's a bad experience, you have an opportunity to learn and grow. And now you can be a better, stronger person in life, which will help you live your best life. So please, everyone, trust, love, be thankful, be grateful, be the light that you want to see in the world. Did they tell you the 100 monkeys story while you were there? Did they share that tale with you?
Sounds familiar, but I don't know if I remember it.
So there were scientists conducting experiments around these tropical islands. These islands are covered in monkeys, thousands of monkeys, different species, but just monkeys, monkeys, monkeys everywhere. And the scientists started throwing sweet potatoes, crates of sweet potatoes and just bags of sweet potatoes out towards the shore to the monkeys. And the monkeys would come and get the sweet potatoes and eat them. Well, one day, I think it was a couple of weeks in, one of the female monkeys, probably a mom, probably had little babies, uh, started washing her potato in the water before she would eat it. They noticed over the next couple of days that more and more monkeys started washing their potatoes. On the day that the 100th monkey washed its potato, every monkey on every island began washing their potatoes. So when it hits the 100th monkey, the 100th being exhibits this behavior, all beings exhibited that behavior, whether they were on the island, whether they had seen the mama monkey wash her potato or not. They were all connected through spirit, and they all began washing prior to eating. They told us this because John Jacob was our teacher the day of this class. John Jacob Mubarak. If you don't know him, look him up. He's on Instagram. He invites you to follow him. John Jacob Mubarak, Mubarak. Wonderful, just absolutely delightful man. He was the one that told us this story, and he told us, and he wasn't for sure. And so I'm going to tell you guys, it's either 0.08 or 0.008% of a population is all it takes to change the consciousness. So us 18,000 plus graduates of Rythmia, we're going to tell our friends and family, and soon it's going to be 19,000, and then 20,000, and then 30,000. We did the math. With 8 billion people on the planet, it took either 640 million people or 64 million people, depending on if the equation was 0.08 or 0.008. That's how many people it takes to change the consciousness of the entire planet. So
I think we're getting there.
Rythmia is well on the way.
Yeah.
We sharing this with people, with your podcast especially, being able to reach thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people worldwide. When we hit 640 million people have done ayahuasca and we've had these experiences, we can lighten the earth. We can change the consciousness. I fully believe this. So when you were saying that it makes you feel like refreshed, like freshened into the experience again.
Yeah.
My goal is to spread that light and love, is to spread that sensation to anyone and everyone who is interested in hearing my story. Like perfect strangers. This happened so I stayed in Costa Rica like 4 days after Rythmia was over, because I figured I spent this much money traveling to a place I've never been. I owe it to myself to go have another experience somewhere on a beach. So I went and stayed at a beach resort for like 3 nights, 4 days after Rythmia. My flight back to America, my first flight, connecting flight, and then, back to my home state. My flight from Costa Rica into Texas, that day at the airport, for some reason, I got on my phone, I got on the airline app, and I looked at upgrading my seat. I had been looking for 3 days about upgrading my seat because I just didn't want to sit in the back of the plane and wait for everybody to get off.
Yeah.
I just wanted to sit closer to the front so that I could get off the plane, make my connecting flight, just make my life easier and more enjoyable. So that day, the first time ever on the app, I moved up 15 rows for free. Every other time I went to move my seat, I was going to pay anywhere from $50 to $100 for one seat change.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not worth it for $100. I'm not doing it. And then that day, sitting in the airport, I go on the app, I see that there's one empty seat and it won't cost me a penny to move to it. So I moved to it. I sat next to my new friend, Frank. who's a retired real estate agent and jeweler from America, from California, married a woman from Japan, moved to Costa Rica. They'll tell you when you're in Costa Rica, it's one of 5 blue zones in the world. Okinawa, Japan is another one. So he's living in a blue zone with his wife, who's from a blue zone, who's afflicted by nerve pain and damage. He's had some injuries throughout his life. He's on medications. For the first time ever in my life, I sat in my seat completely sober, no alcohol, no weed, no nothing. Flying to Rythmia was the first time I'd ever gotten on a plane without having a drink of alcohol. My first flight ever was to Vegas. You got to get fucked up if you're going to Vegas.
Yep.
That started a trend. I never flew sober. Never. I would always stop and have a drink prior to getting on a plane.
Yeah.
First time ever going there, I was sober. Second time ever on a plane flying back from Costa Rica, changed my seat. I sat next to Frank and I talked to him the entire flight prior to takeoff until after we landed. I have never talked to my neighbor in an airplane for more than just 30-second conversation, a couple of minutes here and there, little comment, no, nothing, no connection. For the first time ever in my life, I connected with another human sitting next to me in a plane seat. And I believe he and his wife are both going to go to Rythmia. They live in Costa Rica. It's a piece of cake for them to go.
Yeah.
It'd probably even be less expensive because they're already there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've noticed those connections post Rythmia happening not quite every day, but like little miracles have been happening in my life and in the lives of people I meet as a result of Rythmia and doing ayahuasca. So to everyone out there, please consider it. It will heal you spiritually. It will heal you physically. It is nothing short of a miracle. I can't wait for my 6-month interview to talk to Rythmia and have them call me and find out where I'm at in life, because I really feel like I'm living a better, more enlightened existence. 2 nights into the ayahuasca, I was like, I want to work here. 3 nights into the ayahuasca, I was like, I want to volunteer here.
Yeah.
4 nights into the ayahuasca, I'm asking the salesman for the stem cells, Shelly, who's one of the leaders and one of the recruiters, one of the head people that you talk to there. She lives on site. Turns out she was my neighbor the whole time I was on site.
Yeah.
She's my next door neighbor. She's in 43. I'm in 42, and she lives there full time.
Right. Right. I remember that.
I was sent home having met the head of marketing for Rythmia. I was sent home with the contact and email address of the GM of the entire place. I have Shelly's direct contact information. I have Nick's direct contact information. I know they ask us not to really reach out for like 3 months. And so like our contact has been very limited. I communicated with Shelly in booking the gift certificate for my sister, which I now am going to end up using for myself because my sister's not going.
Yep.
But yeah, I fully believe that after another experience or two, I'm going to end up working at Rythmia, whether it's part-time, full-time, or as a volunteer. I'm going to be spending extended periods of time down there in Costa Rica. I want to live there. I want to be a part of it. I want to contribute everything I possibly can, monetarily, physically, spiritually, to anyone that wants to go and experience this. I will help get you there. I will help you find a way. I will volunteer resources. We will make it happen. And just thank you so much, Jesse, for taking the initiative and creating this podcast, and interviewing all the people on your group, and taking Tim and his suggestion and contacting and interviewing me, because I pray every night to be the light and love that we wish to see in the world, and to fill me with the light and love so that I may fill others and share it with others. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm very grateful for you doing this podcast and for being willing to interview me and giving me this opportunity to voice my story. So just thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's beautiful, Sean. Thank you again. And I do this for me, and I do this for others similarly to what you're talking about. To anybody listening, like, subscribe, comment. If anybody's curious about getting on the show, feel free to message me on Instagrams, Jesse Hunt 454 Transformation Podcast. You can also find me on Twitter, Jesse Hunt 45, or Facebook. Sean, thank you again so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you.